I said people are doing kak radio, and that's a fact, and I'll say it again.
It is a fact. I can agree with you.
Yeah. You get me? And then the medium is not alive. No one is listening to it, or people are because they drive to work. It's easier to tune into
sure.
a radio show than a podcast.
Sure.
So it's that. You know what I mean? People felt like they supported us in echoing those sentiments. So when you join a radio, and I'm a broadcaster, I'm a broadcaster, and if an opportunity comes to broadcast, that won't interfere with what I do, the podcast, because the podcast has become like therapy to a lot of people. Yeah. And what people don't realize is it's also our therapy. It's that time of the week where I can be fully free and laugh with my mates and still create magic and still do what I love, which is broadcasting. So that's why a lot of people felt like it's a betrayal. And when the story also came out, it was made to sound like it wasn't, in fact. They said Salt joins YFM, but everybody thought when you say that, subsequently, naturally, I'm now leaving the podcast.
Sure. How do you feel, Mac?
For me, more than anything, I was happy for my brother.
Yeah.
And like I said on the podcast, what we're doing is it's above us. God is at the wheel.
Yeah.
And whatever happens is because God wanted it to happen.
Sure.
You understand? So I cannot be anything but proud of, I know his love for radio. He's always been a radio guy. And him going back on radio and broadcasting, that's what he loved. That's what he's passionate. So I have to support him in that, Sure. And I'm happy for my brother. So for me, it was like, yo, dude, we good? It's not going to change anything, right? He's like, no, it's not going to change anything. It's wrong.
And you don't interfere. And you said this before, because we've had radio offers before.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense. He was offered a gig on radio, but they said, you need to shut down the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? I was offered as well. They're like, you need to leave the podcast. Jeez. So those didn't make sense. But he said this on the podcast, like if opportunities come, especially for me, I should grab them, right? If they make sense.
Sure.
And this deal for me made sense. That's why I'm still on the podcast. We agreed, that, yeah, cool. And I told him it's not on the table. I'm staying on the podcast.
Jeez, it's just like if Trevor Noah comes and he says he wants him on the Daily Show.
Yes.
Are you going to stand between him?
Why are you exposing him?
Trevor Noah takes it.
Actually, I've had the chat.
We've had the chat.
It's important to have it.
I think it was his own strategic way also of wanting to find that good. And then not my hands are in the futures keep on.
Wow, man.
But on a serious note, I'm one for growth.
Exactly.
We all have to be the best as we can be. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
100%.
And I would love for that to happen.
100%.
I want him to grow. Actually, that's why I brought him here, because I want to put him in a light where the right people can see him and hear him. Because, when you've got some sort of a platform or a pedestal, whoever you put on, it's a platform. Even me coming to your show,
100%.
That's a platform already. Like somebody out there might see me. But I cannot believe there's people like Penuel and Soul that are not just your everyday talent.
Yes.
It's just a certain type of
anomaly,
unique talent that you can't be. Shout out to Kenthan Pile. At some point he tried.
Shout out Kenthan.
He tried and he did a great job at Y. But one thing I'd always learn from Kenthan is, at some point, he gave Trevor Noah I think it was, I don't want to call it an ultimatum, man. But Trevor, I think, was doing a YFM graveyard show.
12 to 3.
Yeah. And I think Kenthan was, and rightfully so as a boss, like when your employee is not always there on time, or sometimes they're on tour with comedy.
Yeah.
I think at some point, and I stand to be corrected, Kenthan gave Trevor an option to either stay on Y and leave comedy, or just go to comedy and leave Y. We all know what happened.
Exactly.
Whoa.
So I don't want to be that guy when Trevor is in Hollywood speaking to the whole world. I'm that guy who was trying to block his dreams. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I'd rather be the guy who was a part of his winning.
Sure.
I'd rather be the guy who gets spoken about. Thanks to Smooth, he contributed.
Boom.
Type of way, you know what I mean?
And one thing, man, like, you see, with us, we're in uncharted waters, and we're the guinea pigs. So when I take this gig and it becomes a success, 20 years down the line, not even 20 years, in a few years, a lot of program managers are going to look to podcasters, right? Because the easiest way as a broadcaster or a speaker to showcase your talent is start your YouTube channel, do your thing instead of sending demos that sit in the crate amongst 5,000 other demos. You do the thing, you get a following, and then the mainstream or radio decides, oh fuck, there's talent, and what does that do? It improves even the quality of radio. You get me? So through me and sell out, whatever. But 20 years down the line, there'll be many talented people on radio who have been who got that opportunity through podcasting or other things that they're doing, and both can live concurrently. People, it's as if one must die. It's like
Charlemagne does
South
it.
Africans.
You know what I mean, bro?
South Africans will love that. Charlemagne does that. You know, so many podcasters abroad.
Tepi is on the latest
Tepi
podcast.
is on YFM,
And
on the
YFM.
latest podcast. Do you get me? So it's the problem that I'm on the biggest podcasting show. What is the problem exactly? A lot of people do it. And we love this thing in South Africans whereby hip-hop and piano are enemies.
You know what I mean?
Back then it was Kwaito and hip-hop are enemies.
And there's no need.
Yeah, you know, like, I'm saying, there's no...